Good evening, I'm Congressman Mark Kirk. I know some of you are surprised at my appearance, but after voting with Bush 9 times, I'm afraid to show my face in the district without a disguise. But you know, I'm really hurt by some of the things that people say about me. I know that a lot of you think that I'm dishonest and cynical for my votes, but I want you to know that's not true. In fact, I'm just the opposite. I'm cynical and dishonest. So, thank you very much. I'm out of here. You know, recently it has been a really interesting thing. I'm a political comedian, which, of course, these days is redundant. But of course, the Iraq occupation is really particularly strange because, as you know, there are 3 major groups in Iraq: the Sunnis, the Kurds, and the Shia. Of those, the Shia and the Kurds are the ones who have the oil, and the Bush administration, after all this, has decided to cut their deals with the Sunnis. It's like going to Highland High School and cutting your deal with the freshmen. You know, it's just not the smartest move anybody could make. It's just that I want to be able to say that we're so incredibly pleased and honored and really proud of Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, who was... She was elected representing 9th CD in 1998. She served, I was after serving for 8 years in the State Assembly. She is now in her 5th term and serves in the House Democratic leadership as the Chief Deputy Whip. She's a member of the Steering and Policy Committee, and of course, to all of us here, we are extremely proud that Congresswoman Schakowsky was the founder of the Out of Iraq Caucus. So we are...
Amazing crowd. I just talked to about as many people as are in here who are unable to get in the room, who are out there. So, a number of them are going to be marching a couple blocks to Mark Kirk's office to bring the message. And I am so grateful to be here today. My main goal is to report to you on my trip to Iraq. You're going to hear lots of different impressions. But let me say first, I want all of us should be very proud of the young men and women who are serving there. They are there regardless of whether they believe in the mission or not, doing their very, very best. A tremendous sacrifice. Many of them have families home and children. Many of them, most of them, are on their 2nd, their 3rd, or even their 4th deployment in this terrible place, in this unnecessary war. And we really do. We're going to hear from some veterans, and we do owe them a great debt of thanks. I met with several and had lunch and dinner with them and told them that while we may differ on the war and our feelings about the war, 100% of us are supportive of them and want to do our best for them. And that means that when they come home, that we provide them with the adequate health care, and it also means we get them out of Iraq. The problem is the mission. And my experience in the region has convinced me more than ever that we have to get out. That we have to set a deadline to withdraw our troops, that we are never going to win. There's no such thing as winning in this occupation. It's a religious and a tribal civil war. And even though we were a catalyst for igniting this war, the U.S. occupation continues to be a large part of the problem, not the solution. And in this case, the so-called Pottery Barn rule that says if you broke it, you fix it, does not apply, since what we're really doing is causing more damage the longer we stay. So here's what I concluded based on the meetings that I had. The surge is a failure. Now the purpose, the reason it was sold to the American people was to reduce the violence in order to create a secure enough environment for progress to be made on key political benchmarks. And Iraq is further from that than ever. We met with I headed up a delegation of 6 members of Congress, 4 Republicans and 2 of us Democrats. And we met with Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Barham Saleh, who informed us on August 6th that the night before that Alawi, who was the former Prime Minister, had pulled his people out of the government. And of course, we all know the week before that, the Sunnis had pulled out. And he told us that political reconciliation, and I quote, won't be done this September, and it won't be done next September. And his voice kind of drifted off, and he talked about Iraq as a nation in transition. I could tell from the security, as little as they let us see, truly, on this embassy PR tour, you could clearly see that the security situation in Baghdad is horrible. You cannot go anywhere without being heavily guarded. That's not to say that our troops, they're the guards, and everyday people trying to walk down the street, but as members of Congress, we had to take a Black Hawk helicopter even to go very short distances, and we would get in that helicopter, put on the full body armor and the helmet, and sit with a soldier with his gun, his machine gun pointed out the window, even to go 20 kilometers. And in the one day that we were there, progress, remember, is being made. 4 U.S. soldiers killed by an IED, 1 Brit in Baghdad by small arms fire, 33 Iraqis in Tal Afar in a residential neighborhood, 6 street cleaners killed by an IED in Baghdad, 2 people killed in a minibus, and 17 more bodies found that had been killed by death squads. The most disturbing part of all was the lunch that we had with General Petraeus. This was in the Green Zone at the very beautiful house of Ambassador Crocker. He was there too. And General Petraeus. We had a lunch of asparagus bisque and lobster tortellini with a printed, gilded on the side menu to the lunch. I mean, it was so surreal. So we're in the midst of this horrible war zone, and we've got this printed and gilded menu and eating lobster tortellini. Anyway, that wasn't as amazing as what Petraeus had to say, because what he told us was that the United States would be in Iraq for 9 to 10 years. And when I kind of groaned and, made it clear that where I come from, and the district I come from, and it looks like the district that Mark Kirk comes from, that even 9 or 10 months is long enough, maybe too long, to get our troops out of Iraq. And here's what he said, and this is the really important part. He said, I'm the general, I'm the military. And that's what I'm telling you from my point of view. But if the civilian leadership of this country tells us, the military, that we're getting out, we're getting out. Wow. So that's a challenge to our